Imagine wanting to learn about the origins of your race, culture, ethnicity, or even your religious group. You decide you want to educate yourself, so you call up your nearest Uber and head to the nearest museum. You get inside and you're immediately stopped by the ticket lady, and she says, "That'll be $45. See, museums were created to be a visual representation of history. So how is it fair to charge someone to learn about who they are and the origins from where they come from? My name is Justice Johnson, and today I would like to explain to you why I feel as though it is important to allow individuals to learn about who they are without attaching a price tag to it. I'd also like to share with you all the reasons as to why I believe museums should be free. Even if you don't completely agree, I hope you can at least see some valid reasons and change your perspective a little bit. I'm going to talk about how there should not be a price tag on history. Putting prices on museums make people uninterested to go, and it makes people unable to attend because they cannot afford it. So let's jump into my first reason. There should never be a price tag on history. The fact that the government even tries to capitalize off of museums is completely baffling to me. People shouldn't have to pay to find out more about their background and the origins from which they originated for. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're sitting with your grandmother and you ask her, "Grandma, can you tell me about how it was growing up for you and show me some things from your past?" Of course, your grandmother says yes and proceeds to show you things from her past like pictures, share stories, and even little artifacts from her childhood. When you're finished, you get up and then, boop, she nudges you and says, "That'll be $35. It's absolutely absurd. You feel as though you just had a true experience and an educational experience of your past generation, and now you have to pay? Why should I have to pay to learn about who I am? Secondly, when museums charge such high prices, it makes people uninterested in going. Most people will argue and say that if you put value on something, it makes it more desirable. And in some instances, that could be true. However, when it comes to museums, that is not the case. According to the Telegraph, one of the leading causes to why people do not attend museums is because they are overpriced. Museums have already been given such a stigma about how they are boring, unsettling, but when you attach high prices and fees to it, people won't even consider taking the time out to attend. Lastly, there are people who want to genuinely visit a museum and take a stroll through history, but they just can't afford the prices. On average, it costs between $15 to $30 to attend a museum if you live in an area where tourists frequent a lot. For other areas, it can cost between $18 to $15. Now, I know you're thinking, 18 to 15, that's pretty cheap, but it's rare to find a museum in an area where it's not a tourist attraction, meaning people would more than likely have to travel to those areas, and that's just going to stack more fees on top of it. And in my opinion, I feel like people who are not as financially stable should be allowed the right to attend a museum without having to worry about the opportunity cost of that decision. It is apparent that paying for historic museums should be obsolete. Learning your history should be free and available to everyone. That way, people will become more interested and willing to learn about who they are and where they come from. So as I close, I just want to remind everyone that your history is your right, and you should never be placed on any kind of monetary value that limits you from understanding who you are and where you truly come from.